Now, there are those who believe strongly that, you know, teachers should just be able to carry a firearm, or anybody who comes into a school should be able to carry a firearm. I am not of that mind. I believe that you have to have a very responsible, highly vetted process to ensure that the people that are protecting our children can do so in a very responsible manner. And I would simply point out, Mr. Chairman, that the active shooter scenario alone that law enforcement officers are well trained to handle is a very, very important consideration. Not every teacher, not every person, not every retired military guy has been trained in the active shooter skills, and law enforcement has, which is why we want local law enforcement to vet these lists that come before local school boards, because they are in a very good place to do that, and that's why we've added it to this bill. Mr. Chairman, I just shudder to think how any of us would feel if we were to have an unthinkable event occur in Virginia the next year, where we did not have somebody there who could, as quickly as possible, stop an assault on the innocence of our children. Law enforcement will tell you that a well-trained person with a firearm on scene is a good thing, particularly since it takes an extended amount of time sometimes for law enforcement to respond and be on the scene. I would say, Mr. Chairman, that if we had school resource officers who are armed police officers that actually work for localities, if we had enough of them to go around, we wouldn't need this bill. We don't have enough law enforcement officers to police our streets and our communities, and also be in every school. Yet I feel strongly that we need this level of security. And I hope, Mr. Chairman, that despite any opposition that might come up from the administration, that we remember two things. Number one, that this is a well thought through process and bill. And number two, we actually listened to the governor's concerns last year, and I believe we've addressed them in this bill. And so it would be my hope, Mr. Chairman, that we will pass it, and we will look back on this time and say, you know what, we did the right thing for the teachers and the kids in our schools to mitigate the unthinkable. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Delegate, is there a technical amendment to this?
There is a technical amendment that I would ask Ryan.
Ryan, could you report that, please?
Mr. Chairman, on page 5, line 285, after the word subdivision, we would just be striking 44 and inserting 42.
Okay, is there a motion? So moved. And a second to amend the bill with that technical amendment? Any discussion? Everybody understand that's simply technical? All those in favor of that amendment, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right. Any members of the committee have any questions for Delegate Lingenfelter regarding the bill? It's very similar to the legislation we heard last year and that we passed. All right. If not, let me go to members of the public. Those in favor of the legislation, if you want to come forward.
Mr. Chairman, I move the Committee of Pat Lacey to the School Boards Association. I'm going to take you back to when before I had blonde hair. I'm told I had blonde hair.
I never do that.
It's as blonde as yours. There was a time when school boards hired school resource officers or school security officers. They were law enforcement officers. They had the authority to effectuate an arrest if necessary. They could carry firearms, and they did. And then